Is Paul Mashatile a shady character who uses his positions of influence to benefit himself and those surrounding him? Or is he a victim of malicious political opponents bent on tarnishing his image to prevent him from eventually ascending to the top job in South African politics? The presumption of innocence is a recognized international principle enshrined in both global and regional human rights instruments. The South African Constitution states that every accused person has a right to a fair trial, which includes the right to be presumed innocent, to remain silent, and not to testify during proceedings. So, until a competent tribunal convicts Deputy President Paul Mashatile of a crime, he is indeed an innocent man in the eyes of the law with the same rights as every other South African. Having said that though, in the real world of politics, legal innocence doesn't always shield someone from ethical scrutiny or public consequences. When Mashatile declares a residence in a posh Cape Town suburb that is worth close to 30 million rand, South Africans have a cause to ask how he affords such on a salary of someone who has only ever worked for his political party and as a public representative. In this episode, I look at all the controversies that have surrounded Mashatile and ask, is he a man we can trust with the stewardship of our country when Ramaphosa eventually exits the scene? Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Musia. Let's get right into this. Paul Mashatile is in line to become the most powerful man in the country. But the closer he gets to that seat, the more questions pile up. And at the heart of those questions is a simple one. Can we trust him? Because if leadership is about trust, then we need to take a closer look at the man the ANC might ask South Africans to call Mr. President. Let's start with the facts. It is true that Mashatile has never been charged with corruption. He has never stood trial. He insists again and again that he has nothing to hide. But political parties, civil society groups, and several investigative journalists have a different concern. Not what the courts say, but what the numbers say. Take this. In 2023, a company linked to Mashatile's son-in-law, Nceba Nonkwelo, purchased a 28.9 million rand mansion in Constantia, Cape Town. Yes, 28.9 million rands. This house is in one of the most expensive suburbs in the country. It's been declared as Mashatile's residence, but not as an asset. So does it, as the DA alleges, amount to a hidden benefit, a political favor, or worse, fronting? Can a public servant, even one as senior as Deputy President, afford to live like this? Because official records show that Mashatile's total monthly salary is just under 300,000 rand before tax. And yet, this is not the only property. Mashatile has also declared a 37 million rand home in Waterfall Estate in Midrand, Gauteng, and another one in Kelvin, Johannesburg. Mashatile says there's nothing untoward. But his keepers, family, business partners, long-time comrades, are often connected to state tenders, especially in Gauteng. Remember the name Edwin Sodi? He's one of the most infamous tenderpreneurs of the state capture era. He's been linked to several failed or incomplete government contracts, yet still walked away with millions. Well, Sodi's company received 134 million rands for a Gauteng housing project while Mashatile was political head of that very department. No houses were delivered. Zero. Zilch. Just empty land. Between 2014 and 2020, Sodi's companies pulled over 800 million rand from state contracts. And all this happened while Mashatile held positions of significant influence. Listen to this report by ENCA of Sodi giving testimony at the State Capture Commission.
Linda and Kobo.
This is against a friend of mine.
Also someone involved in the administration in Gauteng Housing and Kokta.
Used to be.
The payment of 371,553 rand to Paul Mashatile, what is that about?
That's a payment that was made directly to the ANC.
Pinky Kekana, who is she? Do you know?
She's someone that I consider a sister, that I'm close with. She's currently in government as of last year, I think, with the new administration.
Yes, she's a deputy minister.
She's a deputy minister, yeah.
Mr. Nkesi?
He's a minister in the current administration.
Zizi Kodwa?
Zizi is a friend that I've known for a number of years, and I've made payments to him in his personal capacity before he joined government.
Mr. Mkhize, you say it was paid to him in his capacity as Treasury General of the ANC.
It was paid to the ANC at the time that he was the Treasurer General.
When his friends came asking for money, what was the reason they'd give?
We've not been paid on time this month from Luthuli House, or there's delays in payment. I mean, it's still happening even now.
Sodi says anyone linking donations to the ruling party and repeat government business is mistaken.
The fact that a lot of the work that I get is from government, I find that a bit overreaching to create the link between my donations to the ANC.
Coincidence? Mashatile says he played no role in awarding contracts. That may be technically true. But in South African politics, technical truth and moral leadership are not always the same thing. The ANC has a decision to make, and so do South Africans. Because this is about more than a few properties. It's about the kind of country we want to be.
I've seen the recent issue about my sister-in-law. Now, my sister-in-law is a South African who has a right to do business. She doesn't do business with the presidency at the Union Building. This issue of the lot is run somewhere far away from us. The Minister of Trade and Industry is responsible for that. They report to him, not to me. So I think it's unfair to put this as an issue. So it means any South African in this country who knows me can do business just purely because they know me. I don't think it's correct. When there's conflict must be real. If I was responsible for the lotto, I'm the one who's taking the decision. I would say, yes, there is conflict because my sister-in-law is part of this. But I'm not responsible for that.
While it is true that Paul Mashatile has not been found guilty of any crime, we still can ask, does that settle the matter? We know what legal guilt means, but what about ethical fitness? Should a presidential hopeful be allowed to ascend while unanswered questions hang over him? Should South Africa once again place its future in the hands of someone whose lifestyle doesn't match his income, whose inner circle thrives off the state, and who refuses to explain how it all adds up? And if we say yes, what does it say about us? What would a Mashatile presidency mean? It would be significant for what it confirms and for what it denies. It would confirm that networks of influence, not clean governance, still dominate party politics. It would deny the message that public accountability matters. It would signal to millions of struggling South Africans that, once again, the rules don't apply to the powerful. That opulence and access, not merit or trust, are the currencies of leadership. But it doesn't have to be this way. South Africans can demand better. Because if a man's political story is built on connections, contracts, and questions, then maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't hand him the keys to the presidency. So here's the big question. Does Paul Mashatile deserve to be president of South Africa? His defenders will say yes. He is experienced, he is articulate, and he is politically astute. He's paid his dues, they would say. But critics will say that's not enough. Not anymore. Not after Zuma. Not after state capture. And not after promises of a new dawn. South Africans are tired. They are tired of leaders whose wealth can't be explained. They are tired of powerful men whose friends got rich while the people stay poor. So whether or not he is guilty in court, Paul Mashatile stands accused in the eyes of the public. And in a democracy, that matters too. It is tiring to see people who should know better, who at one time declared they were prepared to lay down their lives for a free and prosperous South Africa, now only working to secure their personal prosperity at the expense of the people. It is time for anyone who is corrupt, or even just considering being corrupt, to know that as a country, we are on to them. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this episode. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Joseph Musia. Catch you next time as we continue to navigate the political jungle and explore the real battle for leadership in the ANC and what it means for the country's future. Take care and see you in the next one.